social acceptance, that the science of it is only 50%, and that getting more people involved in a positive attitude, a positive perception seems to be very important in progress. Would you say that is the case in cryonics as well?
Yeah, certainly. Although I have to say right out that I think that cryonics by its nature may be an idea that only ever appeals to a small minority. I think that if you looked at the full list of everyone in the world who would find it appealing if they knew everything there was to know about it, it would be a lot more people than who are interested in it today.
Sure.
But I still think it would be a small percentage of the population, and it's because I think that alienation is a very big issue in the back of people's minds when they think of this idea that with cryonics, you're not just talking about extension of lifespan, you're talking about displacing someone from their social milieu, possibly away from their family and friends. And you can address that somewhat by saying, well, get your friends and family to sign up as well, or make new friends within cryonics. But I still think that there's a big element of sort of culture shock at the idea of the social displacement that it would involve, and for that reason I think that it just sort of tends to only appeal to a small minority.
Small minority, and you said that might always be the case, but the key word there, of course, is might. I mean, you could foresee a scenario, though, in the future where perhaps the technology is perfected and it becomes very obvious to many people, even to the layman, that cryonics is possible with just a little bit more technology. I mean, could you see a scenario where it gains more wider societal acceptance? Say in a couple of decades?
It actually gets to a sort of a core philosophical issue, which is the definition of cryonics. If you have a technology of, say, reversible suspended animation, so whenever anyone was far from sophisticated surgical help, their metabolism could be reduced or turned off for a period of days, weeks, months, however long it takes to get them to help. I think something like that, some demonstrably reversible suspended animation, could become a standard part of medicine that eventually everyone would use when circumstances require it. But the question is, would that be cryonics? Because it has been argued by people like Thomas Donaldson that a key idea of cryonics is that you are putting someone in stasis who, by nature of their condition, you don't know. You don't know with certainty when or whether you will ever be able to recover them. And it may be that point is a stumbling block for a lot of people, that if you have, so let's say you have a technology for reversible suspended animation, but you have someone with, say, a wound that is so grievous, there's no one in the world who can fix a wound like that right now, but you're going to put them into suspended animation anyway. That would be cryonic.
Yeah.
But how many people would do that? How many people would be willing to go into stasis not knowing how long it would take or whether they would be able to be brought back? And I think there'll always be a need for that kind of technology, but it may not always be. It may not be socially accepted by everyone that that's the right thing to do, but that's what cryonics is.
Yeah, I suppose it goes to some fundamental part of human nature and in dealing with death that is quite the stumbling block for most people.
Yeah, indeed. People have a need for closure, and people don't like unresolved issues. And it's rather ironic that my personality myself is I really hate unresolved issues, and I ask myself sometimes, why am I interested in cryonics of all things, which is like the ultimate unresolved issue. Your future, whether or not you have one, whether or not something like that can even work. But people have a need for closure, and they want to know, is my loved one or myself ever going to come back, or do I throw in the towel and say that it's been a good life and I've had enough? And people really want clear answers to questions like that, and cryonics just casts a big question mark on that issue.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, it is a tough issue. Now, you've been involved, of course, in an interest in cryonics for quite a long time. perhaps more than most of us here tonight viewing the show. And I just want to know, I've seen the stats and the progress that has occurred at Alcor and Cryonics Institute. Do you notice any acceleration in the rate of cryonics acceptance, or people actually signing up with cryonics, or is it fairly linear trend with people joining cryonics organizations?
At Alcor, things have been what I consider to be quite slow over the past decade. Annual growth around 3%, maybe sometimes going up towards 5%, but not anywhere near what it used to be in its heyday. Alcor went through a period between the late 1980s and the early 1990s where it was growing at about 30% a year in terms of membership.
Wow.
And people were talking about a sort of cryonic singularity. They were drawing these linear log plots and saying, we're going to have 1,000 people, 10,000 people by...
Not a log graph, no.
But in hindsight, that membership growth was driven by a sort of confluence of circumstances that have been difficult to replicate. In the late 1980s, Eric Drexler's book, Engines of Creation, came out, which interested a tremendous number of people in the ideas of nanotechnology and nanomedicine, and that had a big boost on cryonics, which continues to this day to an extent. And you had a lot more research being done in-house at Alcor. You had articulate spokespeople and prolific writers promoting cryonics at that time.
As far as spokespeople go, you're saying that helped with some of that acceleration in acceptance and membership. What about one of the audience members mentioned the fact that what if a celebrity, like not the Michael Jackson type celebrity, but someone who is respected for a good judgment and being intelligent, would come out in favor of cryonics? Would that produce do you think, another expansion of interest?
It could, but I think it would have to be more than just one person. I think there would have to be some trend emerging. I hate to use this as an example, but I just feel that it's such a good one, and that is, consider the number of celebrities involved in Scientology. But how many people have been convinced to become a Scientologist because celebrities are Scientologists? I don't think it's had that big of an effect. So, I think that if celebrities start signing up for cryonics and are public about it, I think that the public reaction may just be to say, well, there's another peculiar thing that celebrities are doing. I think that you would need maybe famous scientists or people who were respected for something other than entertainment. And let's face it, most celebrities are entertainers. So I think when we talk about celebrities, we need to differentiate between celebrity because of intellectual or scientific achievement versus celebrity for being an entertainer. And I don't think that entertainers per se would carry that much weight.
Right. Okay, well, we've been going here quite a while, 40 minutes on the interview already, and we're going to be wrapping it up here in a few minutes. I just want to remind any audience members, if you do have a couple of questions yet here, please ask them. One of the things I want to mention about social acceptance that I've seen, anyway, is a wider distribution around the world of cryonics interest, it seems. Many more countries do have local groups, maybe perhaps they're small, but Australia and different countries in Europe. And I just noticed, what was it, last year or 2 years ago, that Cryonics started up a cryonics operation in Russia. So it would seem, though, even say from the United States perspective, things really haven't accelerated much. Do you think, and I don't know if you've traveled around the world or talked with many people from other countries who are involved in cryonics, but does it seem as though it is spreading a little bit farther outside the borders of the United States or North America?
Well, I should clarify that when I say that although Cryonics memberships are not growing as fast as they have during some times in the past. They are still growing. There's no question that there is a steady upward trend in increasing interest,